Yeah.
Man, I just want to take a few minutes. There's some Jimmy Johns in the back, some subs and some chips and some cookie quarters that I want. Just want to take a minute. My name is Kevin Bird, and this is Trevor Williams. We're with Moderator Mortgage. Most of you have probably been a realtor long enough that y'all have your own preferred lender, and that's expected. So we're not here to try to steal you away from your own preferred lender. But does anybody know the difference between a mortgage broker versus a retail lender?
Yeah, well, basically, you guys got more options for who can give a loan and you get paid from the bank, not from the client.
Exactly. So we don't actually work for the bank. We work for your buyer to truly find them the best deal. We don't care who they go to. Like you said, we get paid by the lender. When you work with a retail lender, that could be cross country, movement mortgage, different things like that. They work for the bank. So their deal, their offer is their offer. And they're really going to push that offer because that's who they work for. With us, we're going to shop around and truly find you the best deal because we want the best deal for the client. You know, if it's United Wholesale Mortgage, which is the number one lender in the country, or if it's Freedom Mortgage, or if it's Penny Mac, or if it's New Reds, we don't care. We want get the best deal for your client. And I didn't bring any pens, but you can throw away, or your plastic cups that you're going to throw away. I did bring a couple flyers. We really want to push success. Last year, we closed 307 loans for 84 million. Ranked number 2 nationally. There's 250 branches nationwide. This year, I just wanted to show you where we're, as of June, I wanted to show you where we stand nationally. Sure. This is us, Modern Mortgage Strategic, out of Sanford, North Carolina. As of June, we closed 47.9 million. So we're number 1 in the country in total volume. Total units, we closed 169 units as of June. July, we had a record July. We're really at like 66 million and about 184 right now. So if you want to get your loan closed, everybody wants to get a loan closed for their seller, for the buyer. If you have a fallout with your lender, if they're going to deny it, at least give us a shot because we're going to find somebody who's going to do it. Retail lenders look for excuses. Mortgage brokers look for closings. So we're going to find someone to close your loan. So before you terminate, at least let us give them one last shot.
You guys ever lost a deal at the end? The lender's like, there's nothing we can do, and you just have to terminate if they're like, oh, I'm defeated.
That's what we call backs.
Yeah. So we just to share a story with. I know you guys are in Fayetteville. I'm not going to mention their name specifically, but there's some lenders that they advertise and they're really good at it. They spend a lot of money in advertisement, but they make it think like they're the VA, right? The client thinks they're the VA. So we, just to state this too, would y'all be in a favor? We're veteran owned and operated. Most of our guys that work with us in prior service. We had one last week. I had one that was supposed to close July 31st. They had been under contract since March. It was new construction. The realtor calls me a day before. It was like, the lender just told me there's nothing they can do. We got all the way down to the day before closing. There's nothing that they can do. We were able to get them. We got the appraisal transferred over, got them moved over. We closed them in 7 days. So from July 31st, we got the loan. We closed it last Friday, August 7th. The fastest you can do a loan is 7 days because of the tree rule. So you have 3 days for the LE, 3 days for the CD. We did it in 7 days, and it was no problem. Like, we don't know why the lender told. Like, it made no sense why they were telling them they couldn't do it. We moved it over and got it done. So we don't show you guys this to like brag or say like we're some big shot. We do it like we know what we're doing, and like don't feel like if you ever you've got those lenders you work with, don't feel like the deal is done. Like, call us, let us try it. And we just do at the beginning, we just do a soft pull for your clients. They don't got to worry about their credit being hit. The only time we got to do a hard pull is once we're moving everything in the underwriting and they want to move with us. So we have a lot of options, and we can find ways, like Kevin said, to get the deals done instead of.
If your client's already got due diligence in it, why not try one last try? I mean, they're going to lose that regardless. Their credit's already been hit. Why not let us try? And like I said, there's a lot of lenders out there. We have over 40 different banks that we can choose from. There's one called Cape Mortgage. It sounds funny, but they literally take anything. The rates might be trash. They do. Their rates might be high. But if the buyer wants to get into the house, get in any way possible, then when rates do come in, we all know rates will probably come down, or refi when their credit goes up, if they got low credit or whatever it is. Get them into the house and we'll find that lender. It might be that one unique lender that Cape mortgage, that'll take it, but at least somebody's gonna take it, it's not gonna terminate, because you sign up for your seller to sell their house, you sign up with, your buyer signs with you to close on the house. We gotta find a way to get it done, and terminate, nobody likes termination, you know, and we have very little fallout, you know, because we are the broker side. I just wanted to give you a quick rundown, so here's average rates from 1975 to 2025. You see how, I mean, it looks kind of like my EKG, report, it's talking about rates, up and down, up and down, up and down. And I talked about this last time, but these gray bars right here are recessions. So what happens every time after a recession? The rates. So gray, here's the gray, what happens? Down, recession, down, recession, down, recession, down. Are we in a recession? Probably so. Will the media, will President say we're in a recession? Probably not. But if we're in a recession, what do you think this is going to happen? What's going to happen with rates?
They gonna drop.
They're going to drop. We just got to be ready. And we're already seeing that they are dropping. I'll show you one from a year. It changes to just a year.
Yeah, recession is defined by GDP growth.
And 2 consecutive quarters of a loss. And technically, we had a gain, a loss, and a gain. So we didn't have 2 consecutive losses, so they can't say we're in a recession. But everybody feels it in their pocket, they feel it in the 401ks. We're probably in a recession. So this is after the last year. This is how rates work. What do what do you think happened in October of 2024? November, September and October of 2020. What was about to happen? Elections. What did rates do? Went down. If you don't think it's political, then
Right.
this graph proves otherwise. After the election, boom, and then we see the highs we've seen them all year. But we're back here. We're back here, and we're slowly going down. Fed's next meeting is September 16th through 17th. Personally, I think it's probably a rate cut, because they haven't cut them since last year, since October of last year. It's time. I mean, the president really harping on them to cut rates. So if rates start dropping, what's going to happen? Buyers will get out there. So you as a realtor, we as a loan officer, we have to be ready. And that's what we're getting ready for.
And we want to rescue loans for y'all, I'm saying that, but we'd rather get a chance to first. Just to be honest with you guys.
Yeah, of course, everybody has their preferred lender until they don't. Until someone terminates or you call them on Saturday morning and they don't answer. Trevor and I, we're 24/7 hustle mode right now. I'm trying to let my wife be a stay-at-home mom. The only way I can do that is to do a pre-approval at 7 a.m. on Saturday. Is to do something on a Sunday afternoon. Because when are y'all shutting houses? After 5 o'clock or probably on the weekends. When are we working? 9 to 5? No, we're working after 5 o'clock on the weekends, because if you're working, we're trying to work. Because that's just how it goes. Most people want to see a house after they get off of work or on weekends. So we cannot be a 9 to 5 office Monday through Friday loan officer, which some loan officers are. I follow a lot of people on Facebook, and like you said, not saying any names, I seen one loan officer that said, "Don't call me on Saturday. Don't call me before 8 a.m." That, if it's after 10 o'clock, I'm probably asleep. But I'll respond as soon as I can. It's very rare that we don't answer our phone, either text or call. And so, feel free, if you got to have one for the weekend, reach out to us, get everybody a card. And then if you're not, I have a weekly reach text that I send to a lot of my partners. If you're not using a mortgage broker, you really are doing your buyer a disservice. Because they're bound, if you're using a retail lender, they're bound to that one offer, that one deal. A broker, they've got multiple options. When you go get your car worked on, unless you've been working with that same mechanic for 20 years, you're probably gonna have 2 or 3 different estimates just to make sure you get the best deal. That's what we do. We give you the different options, and then you say, "Oh, I like this one." Then that's where we'll send it to you. So we don't care if they go to. Anybody have any questions for us before we wrap up and let y'all get on with y'all's meeting?
And one thing I'll add too, I don't know if any of you guys do this, but we do partnerships with like Zillow spins with agents, with marketing dollars, we had an event with an agent here at Woodpecker Stadium. We rented out the whole booth, we invited all his clients for a client appreciation event. So there's things that we'll partner with you guys.
We don't mind spending money
Yeah.
to help you guys. We want you to grow. So if you grow, we grow. We have, each of us have our own little marketing budget, and we can spend money, to be a partner. We want this to be a partnership. You give a little, we give a little. We truly want to grow. Because if you bring in us the business, we're gonna try to bring you the business, and we're gonna try to close deals just to make sure that everybody can go home with a paycheck. Because that's what we're, And everybody says, I love showing people houses, I love closing deals. We love closing deals and getting paid. Everybody loves getting paid. If you're not closing, as long as you get terminated before you can close, you're not getting paid. You just wasted 6 weeks, maybe 6 months with the buyer, or just the loan to get terminated just for, some more reason.
Anybody have questions?
I do have a question, when it comes to just a situation I had recently, when it comes to like, if you have someone pre-approved, they end up making an offer on a new construction area that has a preferred lender and they're giving away like, $30,000 or something.
And we can't fault you for letting that buyer using that. Most of the time, more times than not, the builder owns the mortgage.
Right.
So when the lender says, I'm giving you $20,000, the builder incentives, that's because the builder owns it, so it's easier for the builder to give it. But working as a broker, we can't give incentives like that because we don't work for the bank. We don't have any money, we only have one fee, we have a $7.99 processing fee, because we have a processing fee that handles all the paperwork, so that we can go and do things like this and be on the outside. But the only thing we can potentially do is pay for an appraisal and waive our processing fee. But if you're looking for a $10,000 incentive, we're not the bank, there's no way for us to get it. More times than not, these builders, their preferred lender is somebody they either own or part own or have some kind of financial deal worked out, so it sounds good, but in reality, the builders already put that into his price anyway, that $20,000, incentive. But,
And Cape Mortgage, would they approve, let's say, somebody like right at 600, or maybe a little less?
yes, if they have a 600, they're probably. I'm talking about 540s, 560s.
I've worked with Motor Mortgage for like 2 years now, and I have seen them push through some stuff that you would not believe.
And I can say, I worked with him when we were on the retail, I was on the retail side. So I've seen both sides, retail and then, when I was retail, I was anti-broker.
Yeah.
Retail all the way, and then I saw the light when you got on the broker. Just so much better. I mean, I do hashtag brokers are better just because they are, because you're not bound to one thing, and it's for the buyer. Financially, it's better for the buyer to work with the broker. Our fiduciary responsibility is for the buyer, and if they've only got one option, what kind of responsibility is that? They only got one option to pick from. Why not give them 40? I mean, we have 40, but there's a handful that are really, really good. We really use all the time. United Wholesale Mortgage is the #1 wholesale lender in the country. If they can't get it done, it's very rare that they can't get it done.
It also helps with your offers too, because I've seen them close deals or get clear to close in 14 days. If you're submitting an offer, you can put a 21-day closing. That makes a big difference.
United Wholesale Mortgage, she went out to Pontiac, Michigan. They allowed the loan officer to take up to 3 realtors at a time. They pay for your flight, pay for your hotel. Spend 3 days in, say, Detroit, Pontiac, Michigan. They're the #1 wholesale lender in the country. Their average close date, clear to close, is 12.9 days. If you send us a file in the morning, we'll have a conditional approval more than likely by the afternoon. I mean, there could be a list of conditions, but at least the underwriter's looking at it. And he's closed one in 7 days. I've had a clear close in 11 days. I mean, it's just, that's it. Bar has to be done on the spot. Deals with me. Appraisal stuff, the order has to be done. But we can close things really, really quick. If you need, you've had that 7-day, I always call it grace period. After the contract, on the contract day, give us that week, or you have to do an extension or some amendment for an extension. Give us that week to try to get it done for you, at least better. I hate when I see realtors I follow a lot of Facebook, price reduced or terminated, no fault of the sellers and all that. Like, let us try it for you. But you have my card on the church got any cards, so that's our cell numbers on there, and just text us. Most people like to text, so or call us. I'm probably that middle generation where I use MapQuest. Back in the day, I used to print out MapQuest and print on my book. So I text and call. It's not however you want to do it. If you're a texter, that's cool. If you're an old school caller, that's fine. Throw us in a group chat. That's the easiest way. Throw us in a group chat with your buyer. Keeps everybody on track. Won't handle it from there. Other than that, enjoy the lunch, and we'll hang out in the back. And if you have any questions, please go afterwards. So it's after this. We don't know it. I'll always say I'll get you an answer. I don't claim to know everything. I know a lot about a lot of things, but I don't know everything. If I don't know the answer, I will get you the answer as soon as.
Thank you so much.
And we are going to that Realtor Rally in September. I think I maybe mentioned the Realtor Rally.
So we all look familiar.
You got, y'all want that Realtor Rally, we'll be there. Thank you.
Yeah, well. Yeah.
We protect.
For those that don't know me, I'm Shelby, one of the REal School, I don't even know who we are. We're just, just a couple things about you, introduce yourself and how long you've been in.
I'm Bill Snuggs, and I've been in the business about 16 and a half years. I am a standalone EHP agent, and I sell primarily new construction, but I do sell existing, and I list existing as well.
I'm Angela. I've been in, gosh, about 4 years now, and so I've been with EXP 3 years, and I'm an independent agent as well. So I kind of do whatever I can.
My name is Patrick White. I'm with the Honor Realty Group. I'm also a standalone agent. I'm an investor-only agent, so I only work with investors. I don't work with any retail buyers or sellers, and I also do a lot of off-market transactions.
Awesome. Okay, we are going to get in it. It's. Okay. That's right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so overcoming challenges in real estate, I think we're all in a challenging market right now. We're probably all trying to overcome different things, and it's just nice to kind of hear what other people are doing and how they're getting through it and stuff. I've been in it 19 years, so I've been through the major recession, the foreclosures, the short sales, the whole nine, and so we can start it out if you, so let's start out with a real moment, I guess. Can you share a deal that completely fell apart and how you navigated the aftermath? What did it teach you? Anything? Anybody?
Want me to go? Okay, you'll send me first.
Okay.
So, thank you. I was thinking about this, gosh, a deal that fell apart. It was kind of earlier when I started, so I was devastated. But however, you pick yourself up and move forward. And my friend Bill, he was in my ear during that time as well. And so it was 2 days before closing. My buyer said, "I'm terminating." I'm like, "What?" But I mean, that's the decision the buyer made. And so what I made is making sure I'm speaking with my big, speaking with, some of, I consider Bill one of my mentors, and just checking, what is it I need to do? Because I need to make sure this was correct of terminating, because now we're dealing with money. And so I just leaned on, a lot of my agents, but made sure I was focusing, getting in touch with my bid, of making sure I had the right answers, and speaking with the lawyers, because the lawyers are like, "Hey, we need to make sure. And what I learned from that is buyers buy when buyers want to buy. And there was nothing that I could do. I mean, I said, we had the conversation. I says, "Please understand, we have to have all of this in writing." And my buyer's like, "I understand. I definitely understand this." So I made sure our entire conversation was notated, and what I said, I learned buyers gonna buy when buyers want to buy, but don't count that money until it's in the bank.
Yeah,
Right.
always.
Yeah.
But great. Anybody else have anything to add or?
Yeah, so I was reflecting on this and trying to think about what example I wanted to share. Because there's been a few that have fallen apart, unfortunately. This one in particular was a tax foreclosure. David Craig is a tax foreclosure attorney here locally, and as part of the service that I offer, I try to help with people who are going into foreclosure. And this one in particular had a foreclosure date 2 weeks out. I work with a pool of cash buyer investors off market. And what my objective was to get in touch with the seller and say, hey, listen, you've got 2 weeks before the city comes and they kick you out, they take your home. I've got buyers for you that will, give you a cash offer. And, I had it written down on my to-do list for probably a week before I actually got out to the house. And I made it out to the house. I exercised calling the seller, can get a hold of them, and it took me going out and leaving a note on their door for them to reach out to me. But I think it was just a means of procrastination. I waited too long, and I ended up losing the deal. There was a monetary benefit for me as well. There was going to be the benefit for the buyer and the benefit for the seller getting out of the foreclosure, making money and not losing their home. And the lesson that it taught me is, as agents and as, people who service others, sometimes we have to exercise all means of communication. As agents, we can text, we can email, and we can call, and we can, we have our CRMs, you can do a follow-up sequence and whatnot, but procrastination and timeliness kills deals.
Absolutely. Burnout, let's talk about it. It's a thing. Been there, done that, burnout, crashed and burned, and how do you learn to know when it's coming and kind of get yourself ready to really okay, I'm feeling it, the burnout's coming. I don't wanna, be on the roller coaster of burnout for a month and then the next month you're like, oh crap, I have nothing in the pipeline, what am I doing? So how do you look for the burnout? What do you guys do to avoid the burnout? I think it's very real and it's something that everyone goes through and it's not necessarily like you're weak. Like it just is what it is. It's a stressful business. We're working 7 days a week after 5 and 7 in the morning and all that stuff. So how do you, when you're running on empty, what do you do?
Fear.
Yeah, come on.
Well, I think you just said it.
Mhm.
Working 7 days a week, start at 7 a.m. and after 7, you can't do that. You just can't do it. I mean, we're all guilty of it. And especially when we first start out.
Yeah.
Any text, soon as, was it Pavlov's dog? Soon as that phone beeps, we own it. You can't do that. You really have to take time for yourself. I mean, that's easier said when you don't have anything coming, nothing in the pipeline, but you just gotta set up boundaries and you gotta stick to them. And just, if you're working when you're supposed to be working, you'll be fine. But you definitely gotta take personal time, I mean, the whole reason why we were in this business, a lot of people, I love showing houses. I don't either. I love showing houses that lead to a deal.
I love selling houses. That's
Yes.
what I love doing.
Yes, and but you got, you pay, you got your monthly bills coming,
So branching off that, what are some boundaries that you, sorry, I have way too much coffee, so, but I literally buzzing over here. So what are some boundaries that you guys have put in place that just make you feel more okay, I can do this, I can do this long-term type of situation? I know for me, it's always been Sundays. I will only work a Sunday if I absolutely have to. I can rack stack 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Saturday to not have to work Sunday, and that's just my boundary. That's my family day. I don't want to mess with anything. So what are some other boundaries that you've put in place that seems to work for you to avoid burnout as much as possible?
Well, with me, I've learned at the very beginning, state what your boundaries are, so. I will tell my-
Expectations, right? Yeah, absolutely.
So I will tell my clients, unless we have a deal going, I usually am in by 9, so I'm not answering the phone after 9, and I'm trying not to answer the phone before 8 o'clock. Because again, it's that burnout. And what I've learned is to keep my phone away from my bed at night. Because, you're thinking about something, if I have a deal with.
That's a Patrick bully, Angela. That's right.
Okay, did he email, did he text you? So what's happening at 3 o'clock in the morning? And so this is probably my Bill would say, and what are they gonna do at 3 o'clock in the morning? So I've learned to keep that phone away because I need a good night's sleep. But at the very beginning is that expectations, and just the management, because I worked with a client at the very beginning. She would text at 3 o'clock in the morning and she expected me to return the text at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Absolutely not.
And it was very challenging, so when I meet a client, when I meet buyers, sellers at the very, very beginning, this is what I say. And it goes, I mean, I've learned that I'm gonna respect your time, please respect my time. And it has made a world of difference, it really truly has.
I like what Bill said about Pavlov's dog. That was a perfect example, because anytime you hear a ding, it's like PTSD.
Yeah, it is.
I gotta grab my phone, where's that? But yeah, first I wanna say is burnout's inevitable. If you're in the industry, you're gonna burn out at some point, especially early on, because if you really wanna make a career out of this, you have to start hustling. Right from the get-go, you have to get your name out there. You just got licensed, nobody knows your name, nobody knows who you are, how good you are at what you do, so you have to hustle. But as far as managing it for me, I had to look at it from the perspective of, I have my business life so structured and so organized through CRMs, through a notepad that I carry with me through my Google Calendar. And my personal life was just disorganized and I didn't get any family time in, any of that. And until somebody said, you know, why don't you just do what you do in your personal life and your business life? Just schedule times to have alone time or have time with your family. Schedule out times like Sundays. I try and work on Sundays too, unless it's absolutely mandatory.
Right,
So that you can refresh and catch up and be with family and rejuvenate and feel fresh for Monday.
Absolutely.
So
I, an agent that I worked with a long time ago schedules out her vacations and like dates, even if she doesn't end up taking the date night with her husband, she schedules it for certain days throughout the month. And so when she's making appointments and stuff, she never puts it on that, so she actually has that time blocked out, because what's the first thing you're gonna do? If you're talking to your husband or your wife and you're like, hey, let's go out tomorrow night, and then here comes the buyer, hey, can you show me tomorrow night? Yep, sure, yeah, let's go. And you're like throwing it to the wayside, right? And so you schedule it and you're like, no, I can't do it, you know? So I think that's a really great way to not have burnout.
I got a follow-up question for you, Bill.
Oh.
Because I wonder, do you ever have burnout? Because when I tell you that you grind, like you're usually always at your communities, you're recording videos at your communities, you're posting every day in the morning and every day probably in the evening, the dinner, the coffee post, like, do you experience burnout or?
That's how mom kicks them out all day. Get out of here. Come home and dinner.
Well, most of my business comes from doing open house. And you'll find a lot of old school realtors. And I don't know, maybe I'm considered old school now, I don't know. But when I first got into business, they were saying, open houses are a waste of time and don't do them. But I find open houses to be great, especially now.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
With these new rules where you can't show any property without having a buyer agent agreement unless you're doing open house. I mean, it's fantastic now. It's even more so.
Yep.
So I look at it this way. You heard him mention the CRM and everything. You got work to do. Do it in an open house. You're gonna be doing the work anyway, whether you're at your home office or at the franchise office, you got work to do. If you got I don't know any realtor that doesn't have a laptop computer. And you got a smartphone. So you can be doing your work at the open house when nobody's visiting. See, a lot of people look at open house if they don't get if they don't get a buyer or a buyer that needs to sell first, they feel like they wasted their time. No. You can literally build your business off of open house. You're gonna meet people. You put them in your database. After you've been reaching out to them and talking to them for 3-4 months, if they tell you don't bother them again, then don't bother them. Move on to the next one.
And I tag on to that too, just the social media piece, because I follow them and I see a lot of that. And a lot of them is documenting life. He's not doing extra stuff. It's like what some of us feel like, and I'm guilty of it too, is we need to film something extra.
Right.
Suppose he's not always doing that. Like he'll film his property, but he's filming and sharing stuff that he's already doing, so he's just adding his song to the mix.
Right.
So it makes it a little bit less out of it.
But, I don't work all the time, you know, I do try to go to my primary subdivision Tuesday through Saturday. Those are my work days, Tuesday through Saturday. I try not to work on Sunday and Monday. But if I do, you know, when I say Tuesday through Saturday, usually Saturday is the only day that I'm gonna be there for a 3-4 hour stretch. Now, I might go out to my subdivision like today, all right, today's Thursday, I had this appointment here. When I leave from here, I'll go out to the subdivision, I may stay an hour and a half, go do some things I need to do, come back, I might stay another hour and a half. You know, later on today, I may or may not post. I don't post every day when I go out there. I think I've done 3-4 posts yesterday. I think 2 of those will come today and a couple of those tomorrow. So you can schedule on your business page, you can do a schedule. So you just gotta do what works for you, you know, and a lot of people say, well, nobody comes by, you know, but there's a lot of people out there. They look and see when you're scheduled to do open house. And they'll come when you're not there because they don't want to talk to you. They're looking at you like you a used car salesman. But
Log averages, don't you think, on open houses, it's log averages, so I pulled true door a month. And there may be 3 where I get completely ghosted and no one comes out there, but then there's 1 that I pick up 2 clients, sell 2 houses, and then I take, 2, 4, 6, 8 hours that I spent out there on Saturdays, divided by what I'm, what I made on this one, I just made $500 an hour. I'm good, I'll just get out there and get ghosted a couple of times, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, no problem, so.
and whether you get ghosted or not, you send out
working,
text
absolutely,
messages
yeah.
and emails and you make videos,
Reels, yeah.
stuff that you need to do
Yeah,
to stay in contact with your circle.
yeah.
And so it's not dead time, but it just depends on how you look at it. But
I think this next question is definitely relevant to the market that we're sitting in now with the market shift. I think we've all seen it this year. It's been a lot of my close friends that are in real estate, all of us are like, bro, this year, like what is going on with this year? So how do you keep your pipeline stuffed and all of that when you see shifts in market? You've been in it 16. How long have you been in it? I'm sorry, I didn't.
I was 4.
4 and then 4.5. Okay. So you've seen a couple different markets go. So what do you do, Patrick? Or Angela, either one? Yeah.
So I have a little bit more of a different kind of approach since I only work with investors.
Right.
I'm not super fearful of market shifts because my investors all have the frame of mind, they're all in the very business minded, their operation has to continue regardless.
Rates don't matter to them.
Rates
Yeah.
are irrelevant, and
Yeah.
depending on the strategy, with multifamily investors, fix and flip investors are always buying and flipping, or they're either buying and refinancing out, called the BRRRR strategy. So I worry a little less about the pipeline, drying up. I started out on Zillow, navigated to Bigger Pockets, which is just an investor network, and I was paying for my leads originally. But because I've niched down and specialized into investments, a lot of investors will just come directly to me. So I've stopped paying for leads, and I just am word of mouth and sphere of influence at this point.
Perfect. Angela, you're making that?
What I've been kind of leaning into is EXP. They give us a lot of certifications, so I will get whatever I possibly can. So with EXP, they will partner with certain companies. And so that's been a lot in the last couple of months for me, for my business. Yes, and then just been very, very fortunate the last 6 months, I guess. It's just been my sphere of influence. I work with one and then refer, work with another and then refer.
That's
So,
exactly how you want it,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That's exactly how you want
And
it.
those are the good ones, but it's also the stressors as well. Because just because one sold in 48 hours doesn't mean the next one's gonna sell in 48 hours. So this, yeah, exactly. So they're coming in with the expectation of, well, you just sold my friend's property for, 48 hours, so this is what. But yeah, that's what I've been leaning into is, making sure I've got those certifications from EXP and the partnering when they're providing something, just very appreciative for that right now.
Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna skip this next question because I think the following one after that is a great one to have. So have you ever lost a client? Right? So you've been working with them, you're like, yes, here we go, we're gonna do this. So how do you handle like a few in a row, maybe sometimes? How do you bounce back, both professionally and emotionally? Because I know it takes a toll. And I think right now that this year for me, buyers have just been weird. Sellers have been weird, and I can't put my finger on why, it's just weird.
Yes.
You know, stuff, you're hearing them say stuff that you never heard people say, you're like, what? What is going on here? You know, sellers still think it's a seller's market, buyers think it's a buyer's market, they can get it for their cheap, and everyone's just being weird. So how do you deal with the weird part of it, you know, on this, and if you lose a client, you know,
Well,
because it can be taxing emotionally.
most of the time, when I've lost a seller, I've lost a few. I know that's hard to believe. But when I've lost a seller, it's usually because they didn't listen to me.
Yep.
You know, I learned my lesson. House is worth 300 at most. And if you wanna, you know, I might, you know, they got a quick timeline, they wanna be out of this house in 90 days. You know, I said, well, maybe we, you know, it's a buyer's market, maybe wanna come a little under or offer a little more of an incentive, whatever that may be. And they decide not, they wanna go in at 310, for instance. And it's overpriced. The other agents know it's overpriced. And so they don't listen to you, then they get angry because it's not selling, and then they fire you. You know, I don't wanna work with anybody who doesn't wanna work with me.
Yeah.
But I learned my lesson a couple times that it's happened, that when I do write a listing contract and they want me to go in at a number higher than I think it's gonna work, I put in the contract that we don't have any offers in 10 days or whatever we decide on, then the price automatically drops to such and such. I give them signed paper ahead of time. That way you don't have to go back to them and try to convince them when, you know, when you already got it in writing that, hey, we're gonna drop the price to such and such. It's already done. And, you know, if they're not agreeable to that, then we probably don't do business together, because I'm not gonna spend, you know, $300-400, you know, for photos and my time. I'm not even counting my time, just photos and doing the paperwork, doing the research, you know, to put your house on the market, if I know it's not gonna sell.
Right.
You know, those days when you first start, you know, you might well take that listing. And we all guilty, like I said, we're all guilty of wanting the business. You know, and hopefully, even when you do take one of those, you'll pick up buyers, you know, because you did have that listing. But if they don't listen, you gotta walk away. You gotta, and it can really get you down, you know, but you know you didn't do anything wrong. You just gotta, you know, kick the dust off your feet and keep going, you know. You just got, because you got bills to pay. You got a family depending on you. So that's all you can do.
I agree. Yeah. We're gonna go to the next one here. I think this one kind of went over a little bit, so I'm gonna do, okay, what is your go-to move when a deal hits a snag? Whether it's appraisal issues, or what I would kind of like to hear about is one crazy thing that has happened to you in a deal that you were able to overcome, and like how you did it. Do you have a crazy, everyone has a crazy story of something you're like, wow. Yeah, there were raccoons in the attic, and this is what we did, you know what I mean? Like something like that. So how do you know, do that? Do you have a specific story or anything like that?
Well, I have a specific story, and it just depends upon what's happening. So I had a buyer, and it was a tenant occupied home. So the tenant did not want us going into the home. Okay, that's fine. I've got to work for my buyer. So I was talking to the agent and said, you know, I've spoken to my client. We cannot, he cannot provide any type of due diligence fee. So we're adding the earnest money. This has just been a couple of months. Who accepts earnest money? But you were digging in, and because we could not see the home. So then we kept going in the home, we've got X amount of money for closing costs, we've got X amount of money for the repairs. Then it kind of comes into the home is not appraised. So there I'm leaning into the lender. I'm like, please tell me what we need to do at this point. And, you know, a lender is gonna say, well, we don't advise that client paying more than what the home is worth. And so you're going back and forth with the agent. But however, that is where I need to lean into. If it's an appraiser concern, I need to go and get the advice of my lender.
Yeah.
Because you're setting into the situation that they don't want any type of repairs to be completed because the tenants in place. So it's challenging, but we kept digging at it and we finally got that solution, that the price was decreased. We got the max for the closing. And so just depending upon that situation, because I was not allowing that to, you know, terminate. I mean, you know, my buyers, I kept going back to the listing agent, kind of kept working. So, and it worked out. It worked. It was a little bit longer, but it did work out. So my client did not lose any money and really working with the lender to see what we could potentially do as far as with our parameters there.
Do you have any?
Yeah, well, I would just say that like the important thing is to maintain your composure and remember that you're the expert. They, you know, if you get the home inspection back and they're freaking out about the anti-tip bracket under the stove, it's okay.
Every time.
It's all right, it's not, you know, crazy, but also remember that there's certain variables that are under your control and others that are not. The variables that are out of your control, you know, analyze the playing field and what your options are, having good members of a team, like a good lender that's got your back to collaborate with and understand how you can help overcome the problem as a team is the best bet. And like I said, just remember you're the expert, talk with your clients with confidence, let them know that we're gonna get this sorted out one way or another. And if something does go wrong and you do lose money, then, you know, that's the name of the game, it's gonna happen. Just like losing a lead is gonna happen. You know, as agents, we're gonna let leads slip through the cracks sometimes, it just happens.
Agree or disagree with this?
Okay.
Attitude is everything in dealing, especially with dealing with another agent on the other side. So when you have, I feel like when you have a client that's very high strung about the anti-tip bracket, my other favorite one is the dishwasher coil, like in the thing that'll loop every time, like, guys, this is really, like, I can barely screw in a light bulb and I'm pretty sure I can handle this for you. You know, like, this is not a huge deal. So I feel like a lot of times when agents, you know, come at you with an attitude, like I'm holier than thou, I know everything type of thing, I think that immediately kills any sort of relationship that, you know, like if we're both coming in, all right, girl, this is what we're doing, because our goal at the end of the day is to get to the both people, right? It's not, we're not here to play whose stuff is bigger, right? But, I mean, you and me, we're getting this deal done, that's the point, right? So I think that attitude on the phone, on an email, on a text from Jump Street with agents that you're working with makes all the difference when negotiating on anything. Hey, these people are first time home buyers, they're, you know, they don't understand, you know, blah, 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 like, you know, I feel like that type of rapport with agents is so important in deals, like.
Yeah, and you're the representative of the client. If you
That's
come with
right.
a crappy attitude, it's
Yeah,
like,
it started
okay.
off nasty, but for what?
We're here to collaborate, like I said, you have the deal closed and, you know, I feel like negotiation is about what's fair, what can we do
Yeah.
to collaborate and figure out what's beneficial for your buyer and what's beneficial for my seller. Again, LaShonda did a deal together and I was working with an attorney who was not very fair about certain things. And we got due diligence, but it was only fair that I felt that LaShonda's client should get her due diligence back. So I, even though I was representing the seller, called them and had that conversation. Hey, listen,
Yeah.
what we did was not fair and they shouldn't lose due diligence because of it. Yeah.
And I will also say, because his client was not domestic communications, so on his end, he over communicated.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you know, that's just another example, like when you have issues, like instinctively, he knows he has to over communicate for his client that's not really responding very quickly.
Which I appreciate way more than ghosting.
Right.
You know what I mean? Absolutely. Did you have something?
This kind of goes on that topic we were talking about. So what are you might not want to answer, but what are your feelings when you're representing both the buyer and the seller, you know, who,
I don't.
who do you look out for? You look out for the buyer, I mean, because someone's gonna have to win in that situation, someone's gonna have to win.
So in dual agency, as far as,
I
that.
always find it
You're a
difficult.
referee, not a coach.
Exactly.
I don't ever like to do dual agency unless it's with our builder. That's the
Right.
only time I really do it. I will never represent a buyer if I'm the seller, like the listing agent on there, because you really can't say anything.
I
And
think-
then you feel like, why are you paying me? They're like, well, what do you think? I can't tell you.
Yeah.
I can't tell you. Like, what's the point?
Cause I've seen a couple come through, and every time it's always been some kind of issue.
I can't sleep.
Yeah, where somebody's not had it, you
Yeah,
know, on one side or the other, so whenever I see that dual agents, I'm just like.
Here we go.
Well, it's much easier with new construction.
Period.
Especially in our market here in the Fayetteville, Fort Bragg. Not speaking to the Raleigh area, because it's a little different. But here in this region, most new construction is sold at list price. And the incentives usually are already up front. So it's a lot easier to be that designated dual agent, you know, but with existing homes, it would definitely be a little more difficult to stay neutral if you're doing it the way it's designed.
I don't think you can. Honestly, I don't think that it should be allowed. In my personal opinion, I don't think it should be allowed. I just don't feel like you are giving at all. I mean, what are you getting?
Well, it depends on what the dual agency is.
Yeah, true.
If I'm the listing agent for an existing home and I got the buyer as well, that can be kind of rough.
That's what I mean by that.
But, you know, dual designated,
Yeah.
there are a lot of EXP agents I do not know,
Right.
you know?
Sure.
So, but I gotta be a dual designated because we both belong to EXP. I don't know that person from Adam.
That's
But,
fine.
But yeah, so, yeah, you dual designated, you represent your buyer or your seller and parties represent the other. So it's possible, you know, it just depends on what type of dual agency we're talking about.
Yeah, that true dual agency with the one agent.
That's what I mean. That's the part that should be.
I feel like you would have to over communicate over and over, because you know clients get amnesia, and you have to keep communicating to them, hey, I can't advise you, you need to, you know, and I would want that headache.
As a consumer, I would be like, well, why are you my agent then? I'm gonna go get somebody that can actually help me in all
Okay.
this type of situation. So I don't love it, but we'll move on. But so we could be on this topic all day. So consistent lead gen and client care. When motivation dips and life outside of work gets overwhelming and stuff, how do you stay consistent on the lead gen train? Because we all know that real estate can be like this, and you're not consistently doing lead generating, whether that's open houses, whether that's cold calling, whether it's expired, whatever you do that works for you. How do you stay consistent when your motivation is just not there? Anybody?
Well, what I like to do, and just because, you know, if I got, you know, buying, selling or something, and because my husband said, do more of that, do more of that. So I always send out, you know, postcards. I like sending out postcards because everything is going to be, you know, your marketing is tax deductible. He's like, send more postcards. And so I send a lot of postcards. A lot of my money goes towards postcards. And I was in an MLS class once and they said 3 times, make sure you're doing something 3 times. So especially with my neighborhood, that you kind of spring, summer, fall, something like that, 3. So really, that's a lot of my lead gen of being able to send that marketing material. But I also, with my previous clients, if there's some type of holiday, I'm sending it out. And I have received returning business because I said, Happy Mother's Day, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of keeping up with my previous clients and doing that marketing.
Yeah.
There's, so we've got 10 minutes left and there's 4 questions, but there's 2 that I really, really want to hear you guys' opinions on. This one, what do you wish more agents understood about surviving and thriving during our slower seasons? Yeah, it's a great question. So what do you wish that other agents knew about this season of,
Well, that's kind of the question she just answered.
Yeah, a little
Kind of
bit.
tie in each other. But, what I do, cause I'm not gonna sit there and do postcards.
Yeah.
You know, even though I know they work.
yeah,
But I tried to get my wife to do them, but she wouldn't do them.
Yeah.
She helped out a little bit, but she said, you know, so. Well, there's different ways to do it, you know, but, as far as, for me, I just stay branded.
yeah,
You see me, you're gonna see this,
Yeah.
you know, and only time I'm not branded is when I'm going to a show or something, or when I go to church on Sunday. That's about the only time I'm not branded, you know, I've been thinking about getting me a couple of outfits for when I'm cutting the grass, but I haven't done it. Anyway, I'm staying branded, because people will ask you, you ain't got any. But I do stay in touch with my circle. Statistically speaking, they say you can only work 200 people within your circle. Work it like you're supposed to work it in order to keep that pipeline flowing. But to me, that's too many without an assistant. I personally believe if you got 50 people in your circle and you work it like you're supposed to, you'll be fine. You know, statistically, 50 people. Everybody meets 7 people a year that have a real estate need, statistically speaking. Of course, some of that 50 would be an overlap, but if you got 50 people in your circle times 7, what is that? 350 possible real estate needs a year,
must be math.
and then 350 possibles, 2 sides. So that's 700 possibles right there. And then just standing in line at Paris Steel, they see your shirt, you know, you brand it. How's the market? The market's always good.
They love that.
Always good. If it's dipping, then hey, foreclosures are, you know, they foreclosing all over the place, then you selling foreclosures. So the market's still good as far as you're concerned.
Yep.
You know, I mean, you can have, you know, empathy, you know, for anybody that's suffering because of the current market conditions, but as far as being a realtor, you know, up or down, it doesn't really matter, you know, if you can divorce yourself from the you know, emotional part of it, but
Can I add something to this? It may not be like how to survive and thrive when you're in the slower season, but I think it's a really important thing to do. And I've had a conversation with a girlfriend of mine this year, because she was like, Shelby, I'm not used to not being busy, like I don't know what to do, blah, 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 blah. And I said, girl, it's okay. How many times have you worked 28 days in a row without a day off? I'm like, take this time to clean out your closet. Take this time to do all the things that you've been putting off because you were so busy, so busy, so busy. So then when you get those things accomplished and your business picks up, you're not feeling overwhelmed and stressed, and you still feel productive. That's okay to do that, you know? I'm like, this is your season to clean out your closet. This is your season to get done all the things that you've been putting to the wayside because real estate is kicking your butt for months and months and months. That's okay. Give yourself some grace in this industry, because I feel like on a Tuesday, a random Tuesday, I'll take off and I just want to watch Love Island UK and not be bothered. And I used to feel guilty, and now I don't, because I worked Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you know, round the clock. I can take a Tuesday off.
if you're using the tools that are provided by EXP.
Right.
You know, to managing your database, you know, it's automatic anyway.
Right.
You know, you just need to check your email.
Yeah.
And go online, and
Yeah.
it'll check, you know, but between that and talking to your circle, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
I agree. I'm gonna leave you, we're gonna end on this one because I love it. If you could leave this room with one piece of advice for an agent currently facing a tough season, what would it be? One great piece of advice that you tell yourself every day, you know, like when you're going through a tough season, what do you tell yourself to where they can talk, you know? Piece of advice.
So I look at this more like I'm running my business instead of, you know, a 9 to 5, and I treat it as such. And there's 3 components of any business. There's sales and marketing, there's operations, and there's finance. If you can dial those 3 in, your sales and marketing, generating leads, build a lead generating machine, operations, what does lead fulfillment look like? What does your process look like, and then dial in your finances so you can recycle money into the machine, we go.
It's great advice.
I guess with me, I believe that if you're good to people, people's gonna be good to you. So I'm about building those relationships.
Cause you can sleep at night if you're.
Yeah,
good to people,
exactly,
right? You know,
exactly.
you don't stress out.
I know I can call Bill, even if it's on a Sunday or if it's on a Monday, he's gonna answer my phone. Hey, I haven't heard from you. Have a question, Bill. So meeting Patrick, and that is the type of agent that I want to be. If you have a question, give me a call. If I can answer it, I will answer it. And because EXP gives us a lot of tools to use, but sometimes we still have to reach out to other agents. Like if I've seen, LaShonda, you're working on a lot of manufactured homes, and I haven't done that recently. I'm calling you.
What have you learned?
Yeah.
Help me, yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you're with EXP, if you're Remax, if you're with Keller Williams, I want to build those relationships because again, I'm a believer if you're good to people, people's gonna be good to you.
Real estate seems like a big world, but it's very small, and building relationships with the other agents is so much more important to me than a lot of things, I mean, honestly, yeah, I agree. That's a great.
My bottom line is, be honest.
Yeah.
Just be honest with people. Don't, and even if you're not lying, you can shade the truth too much. But I just feel like if you honest with folks, be good, like she said, they could treat people right. I look at it this way: if you're my age, I'm treating you like you're my brother, my sister. If you're older than me, I'm treating you like you're my parents. And if you're younger than me, I'm treating you like you're my kids. And I think if you do that and be just honest with people, you'll be fine. That's I get a lot of, I'm doing open house. So a lot of clients will send a lot of realtors will send their clients out to see a house because they know I'm not gonna try to take their client. But now you gotta have a lease agreement anyway, but that don't keep you from getting fired, but so they know I'm not gonna try and steal their clients. And we don't do that. And I'd be more than happy to answer their questions and whatnot. And if you're out of town and your clients wanna see my house, I'm doing open house, I'd be more than happy to show it to them. Answer their questions and we'll follow up with you, let you know, hey, I think they wanna get this house, come on, send me that contract. So, just be honest. That's all I can do.
I'm gonna leave it with give yourself grace too.
Yeah.
Always give yourself grace. And then I also have another thing is for every one horrible, tough client that you have, one is always followed up by one of the easiest clients you've ever had in your entire, you know what I mean? Like I always am like, there's a better one around the corner. There's a better one around the corner. So for every crazy person I get, I always get an awesome one right after. So.
I'm doing awesome one day.
I
But
I had an insane one and then I'm working with an amazing one right now. So it's like, it always seems to be like that with me. The ones that I get a crazy that just stress me out to beyond, and then I always get an awesome easy. I'm like, hi, you alive? She's like, yeah, girl, I'm fine. I'm like, this other one's calling me 47 times a day, you know what I mean? And I'm checking online to make sure she's still alive because she doesn't bother me. So.
But seeing that though, Shelby, it's kind of like, what are you learning from that? Because I think every transaction, I learned something, and I'm like, okay, I know not to do that one, I know not to do that one. Not gonna do that again. But however, it's learning, it's learning every transaction.
I always ask up front, what's your preferred method of contact? Because, and
Yes.
what are your expectations? Because some people are phone call people, some people are text people, some people are email people. And if you expect, like sometimes when you get a text and like, I'm in the middle of this, haven't checked my phone, type of situation, and they're like, they get upset, because like, why don't you text me back? Right in the middle of something, they just want that constant communication. So I need to know that up front, so I need to know what I'm supposed to be doing, you know what I mean? Like I have 4 teenagers at my house, me picking up the phone is a dice roll, bro, because they're gonna run through, screaming, yelling and stuff. So texting and calling are the greatest for me, so I always ask that question to them first out of the gate type of thing, but.
I'm always afraid that they're gonna say text if I ask that question. But I do it. I don't
You know a
like-
texter?
No.
Oh, okay.
But
Well, good, I'm
I-
not texting all the time, then good to know.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Well, I appreciate your guys' time, I appreciate everybody's time, I learned a lot, I loved it, I just thought this was a great one, just, I feel like we're just in a weird market, and you're right, I think that the rates are gonna go down next month, a lot of people have been talking about it, and I feel like we're gonna see a big influx of movement and stuff, so it seems like maybe this summer was a little bit of a lull, and get ready,
When you
put your
said-
running shoes on, because it's about to.
In regards to this tough season, I'm just telling people to ride the wave.
Right, as always, yeah.
The numbers probably are the same as realtors, but as a loan officer in 2020, when the market was crazy, everybody got it, and there was 180,000 licensed loan officers.
Yep.
When it started going down 2022, 2024, there were only about 90,000 licensed loan officers, so everybody got out.
That was same with
So
realtors.
same with realtors,
Yeah.
so if you're going through a tough season, more than likely, there's somebody else going through a tough season, so they're probably getting out. You know, a lot of realtors that want to do other jobs now. So that means that piece of the pie that everybody was going for, smaller. So if you can ride the wave, that your pie, that piece of pie is gonna get a little bigger, just ride out here. That tough season's has to overcome.
Yeah, absolutely.